Hey, you know, I am here in my chair and, you know, caring about others. You know, I was outside walking yesterday and, sometimes when I be outside, I be talking on my phone, you know, through here. And somebody said something about like a stalker or something, or somebody following people, some bad person, you know. And, I be talking on my phone when I be outside and stuff like that. And it seems somebody got mad at me for telling the truth, you know. It's like somebody seemed that, I don't know who it was, you know. It seemed like, it looked at the way a man looked, you know. It seemed like it was somebody from outside. It was somebody from outside of my marriage, you know. Because I have a marriage license certificate, you know, with the year of 2004 being the date my marriage license certificate has, because I don't know the date of getting married. So I have a marriage license certificate as evidence of being married, you know. And I was talking on my phone. You know, I be talking on my phone. I be talking with these and these. And it seemed like somebody said something about some stalker bad person or something like that, you know. It was somebody from outside of my marriage license certificate, you know. And, you know, since being married, you know, I don't really get involved with people, you know, from outside of my marriage license certificate. I thought it was crazy for someone, you know, from outside of my marriage license certificate stalking my phone calls. And it seemed like somebody from outside of my marriage license certificate was like, how dare you tell the truth about people sexually abusing you or Brandon? How dare you tell the truth about the household you growed up in, being the youngest one, being sexually abused? How dare you tell the truth about what happened to you or Brandon? You know, it seemed like that's what somebody from outside of my marriage license certificate, you know, somebody from outside of my marriage seems to have been saying bad stuff about me. You know, listening to my phone calls, being a stalker is what it seems like someone from outside of my marriage did, you know. And so, you know, caring about others. If a person is outside talking on their phone, or if anyone is outside talking on their phone, whether you're using one of these or these and stuff like that, then sometimes it seems people would have been following people, listening to their phone calls and getting mad, thinking people were talking about them or something. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, say it's crazy, you know. If you wasn't saying any names of anyone at all, I don't understand why a person would have been listening to your phone calls and thinking you were talking about them if you never even said their names. If you don't even know them and if you don't even know their names, you know. So I ignored it, you know. It seemed like some people was mad, you know, with the attitude of starting fights and stuff like that, you know. And, you know, being a mental health patient myself, I've been here in the state of Georgia for, it seems like 10 years or so. And, you know, I never started any kind of violence with anyone outside of my marriage. I was never the cause of any kind of violence with anyone outside of my marriage, you know? And they say it's video evidence of all the years of me being here, you know? And it makes no sense if someone from outside of my marriage was stalking me, listening to my phone calls, and thinking of me talking about them when I don't even know them. And I don't even know the names of them, you know? So, you know, I talk a lot on the phone, you know, and, you know, being a mental health patient, you know, myself, you know, I don't really understand what it was those other people was talking about with those attitudes of, I don't even know what it is, you know. It seems I was walking outside, talking on my phone, and someone from outside of my marriage was stalking or listening for the wrong reasons to my phone call and got mad and was telling lies about me talking about them when I don't even know them, you know? So, you know, it's crazy, you know? So, you know, caring about others, you know, because a lot of people be outside talking on their phones, you know? It's not my fault if anyone thought that a person was talking about them, especially if a person never said their name and wasn't talking to them, you know? So, they say, you know, maybe people should stay out of other people's business or out of other people's phone calls if it isn't to them or about them, or if a person wasn't saying their name to them or, you know, about them. So this is video evidence, you know, in case, you know, I was walking outside talking on my phone, you know. And then people would know, you know, if I never said your name or their name or a person's name, then you're not supposed to be assuming a person is talking about you or them or someone. It's what they say, you know. And, you know, caring about others, since people don't like people getting mad at them, you know. They say it was some people, you know, part of a bad group or something, and that someone had signed something. I think they said it was a non-disclosure act of where, I don't know what those people did, but for some reason, certain stuff, some of them won't say, or some of them are part of some other kind of group, and I don't know them. And someone said that one of them tried using me, or told lies about knowing me, and told lies about me to their group, or the people, or whoever those people are with them, and tried using me. And I said no, because I never signed a non-disclosure act. I'm not part of whatever kind of non-disclosure acts was signed with them. And so one of the people, you know, said it might be the reason why someone was getting mad at me, because someone tried making money from me, and someone, you know, they say someone from outside of my marriage tried making money from me. Someone from outside of my marriage signed a non-disclosure act. Someone from outside of my marriage tried using me for some kind of scam or some kind of money or something, and told a lot of lies, and got mad at me for telling the truth. I never signed a non-disclosure act, you know. So whoever it was, or from outside of my marriage, who signed a non-disclosure act, it is not for me, and I'm not part of it. So, you know, when I'm talking on the phone and I'm saying words and stuff, and people who signed the non-disclosure act feel like those words are not for saying with them, it's not my fault if a non-disclosure act was signed with them, and I'm not part of whatever it is was signed with them. I said no. You know, being married, my marriage is not part of whatever non-disclosure act someone from outside of my marriage signed a non-disclosure act. And I was talking with some people at the doctor at River Edge, a mental health clinic, and some people at the court. And, you know, it seems like what they were saying was, since I am a mental health patient, there would need to be evidence of a lawyer or an attorney. It says something about needing an attorney or evidence for a courtroom, because me being a mental health patient cannot be signing a non-disclosure act or any of those types of contracts, because I do not understand what the words mean. And ever since I was 5 years old, it's a lot of doctors that said I have mental health problems. And I don't think those doctors was lying. And it would cost a lot of money taking those doctors to court, accusing them of lying about my mental health. You know, all the doctors from when I was in elementary school and a mental health patient. You know, all the doctors from when I was in middle school being a mental health patient. All the doctors from when I was in high school being a mental health patient. And all the doctors from since I am grown, and still a mental health patient, there's no way of accusing all of those doctors of telling lies about my mental health. Especially, when I hear voices all the time and I see spirits and ghosts and feel crazy all the time. I'm just glad I am not suicidal. So, they said, some mean, bad person from outside of my marriage was mad at the court and the doctors and people at the hospital and stuff because there's no way of them taking all of those doctors and all of those people to court accusing them of lying about my mental health because it's years and years and years of evidence of me being a mental health patient, and no one has any evidence of me, speaking about, any of them from outside of my marriage, When I was going to the store, talking on the phone, and, all of it and all of that, And some people say it's called bullying, since I had problems with my leg and my physical disabilities, and since all of those doctors, with evidence of me being a mental health patient, and knowing I am not the cause of any violence, and, I stay inside of my marriage license certificate household, and there's no reason for anyone, outside of my marriage, being mad at me, because ever since the year of 2004, having a marriage license certificate, they say, I've never started any fights with anyone outside of my marriage. I've never been the cause of any violence against anyone outside of my marriage. I stay inside of my marriage license certificate household, and I go to the store and ride the bus, and sometimes I walk to the store and I talk on my phone a lot, and they said someone from outside of my marriage had signed some kind of non-disclosure act and tried using me for some kind of scam or the wrong stuff, and I said no, and the person got mad at me because someone wanted a career of making money from using me for bad stuff I am not interested in. So this is video evidence, caring for others, because, since I am not interested in doing it, then they say those people would probably be finding someone else for targeting with those scams and stuff. And since I care about others, this video is public evidence of caring about others, so that if anyone is ever outside talking on their phone or any of that stuff, and someone from outside of my marriage is someone who signed a non-disclosure act and didn't want you saying this and didn't want you saying that and didn't want you telling the truth about if you were sexually abused as a child in your household you growed up in, or places or stuff like that, it's not because of me. I never signed the non-disclosure act. And even though they said, how dare you tell that you were sexually abused inside of your household you growed up in, Brandon? How dare you tell, that those people, who sexually abused you did that stuff to you? And I say, it's because, telling the truth, They say, you have to tell the truth so that the person would know, that you're not part of those types of ways, So, this is video evidence, that, someone from outside of my marriage has been causing problems. And they say someone from outside of my marriage has been causing problems because someone from outside of my marriage signed a non-disclosure act and is in a lot of trouble because of someone from outside of my marriage told a lot of lies and owes someone a lot of money and owes someone more than what could actually be given to them. And there's no way of paying it back. And it's not because of me. And I am not part of it at all. Because whoever it is who signed the non-disclosure act is someone from outside of my marriage. Someone from outside of my marriage. So, I don't know them. So, caring for others. If someone from outside of my marriage claimed knowing me and is part of a non-disclosure act or some kind of scam, I am not part of it. I have a marriage license certificate with the year of 2004 as the date of being married. And since I am a mental health patient, I don't know the actual date of when I got married. I only know I have a marriage license certificate as evidence of being married and doing the job of being a husband, which is why I am here inside of my marriage license certificate household telling the truth that someone from outside of my marriage has been causing problems for a long time, and they say that whoever it is from outside of my marriage got in trouble for signing a non-disclosure act and making promises to people and cannot pay what is owed to those people the promises were made to, and tried including me in it, and I said no. And the people know, is what they say from this evidence, that if a Brandon said no, and a Brandon said he never signed a non-disclosure act, and if a Brandon said someone from outside of his marriage signed a non-disclosure act and was listening to his phone calls and was getting mad at him for saying stuff that a person who signed a non-disclosure act cannot say, then it's not my fault if a person who signed a non-disclosure act cannot say what I say. So, probably should have never signed those non-disclosure acts, whoever the person is from outside of my marriage. So there's no point in being mad at me for the non-disclosure act someone from outside of my marriage signed. I am not part of it. I wouldn't want to owe to them what whoever signed the non-disclosure act owes to them. It's not me. I am not owed to them because I am not part of the non-disclosure act. They said someone from outside of my marriage signed the non-disclosure act. So, speaking about myself having a marriage license certificate, with the year of 2004, whoever it is who signed the non-disclosure act and tried using me, you know, they say it is a person from outside of my marriage and is a scam. And if I am not the one saying it or talking to you or saying your name and stuff like that, and then people should not be bothering me with the problems made from them signing a non-disclosure act. And you know, I feel the same way. You know, caring for others. People should not be bothering anyone for the problems people made for themselves when people from outside of my marriage signed a non-disclosure act and made their own problems from whatever non-disclosure act people from outside of my marriage signed. I never did.